everyone is talking about this 150 million, right?
Yeah.
Where's the money gone? Why haven't we spent the money? But let's have a look and see where that money has actually gone. What's gone in?
As of now.
What's gone out? This is as of now. We expect it to be the same at the end of the window.
Yeah.
So you got Fraser Forster for free, Longley on loan, Richarlison 60, Basuma 25, Spence 20, Adoji 18, Romero 42, which got confirmed a few days ago. So that is in total 165 million. Going out is Bergwijn 27 million, Clark 5 million, Carter-Vicker 6 million. The rest are loans, with Adoji going back to Udinese, Scarlett, Rodon, Parrott, Winks, Reguilon, Lo Celso and Ndombele, who are all most likely going to be back here next summer, which is a different situation. So we got in 38 million. We spent 165 million. So that's actually a net spend of 127 million.
Yeah, which is... It's not insignificant, but it's not... It's not the outlay maybe we were expecting, I would say.
I would say in net spend, it probably is maybe even more than we were expecting, because we were expecting transfer fees in, which we never got. So in terms of actual net spend, it's probably actually more than we actually thought we would spend.
I think at the beginning of the window, we were seeing this 150 million, but we were seeing this on top of any potential money we could have had. Right on top of that, with Champions League, with.
But then they only drew the 100 million anyway.
Yeah, but I'm saying when on the day when they announced that 150 million investment, if I would have said to you on that day, by the end of the window, we'll have a net spend of 127 million. I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say, like, I don't think you would have been, like, up in arms about it, but would you have said that's a bit underwhelming? You know what I mean? Because I think maybe people thought, well, we got 150 million on top of all the other money. We're going to maybe spend, 200 million here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, because we got lucky with Perisic being on a free, because on another time, he's costing in excess of probably 30, 40 million. If you take the age into account, maybe 20, 30 million. We're talking about a very good player there that we got for free. So
same with Basuma.
And same with Basuma. On another day, when with all the circumstances surrounding Basuma, you're talking probably about 50 million in excess of that. So I think that there is a case to be said that we spent smartly in some situations. I don't look too much into the actual amount that we spend. I look at more at the players that we actually brought in. I'm not too bothered about how much we spent, because look at the Perisic deal, look at the Basuma deal, look at the Longley deal. We've got good players in there for not much money.
I'm not. The thing is, with the money that we spent, I'm not angry with how much we spent. The only reason I'm not happy with that figure is because. Is if we're using it as a reason not to have got an attacker. Yeah. Because if that is the reason, then I'm going to look at that money that we've invested and say we haven't even hit the 150 that we've invested. So how can we be using money or a lack of money as an excuse for not getting potential targets over the line for a forward line which is sorely lacking right now? And that's the issue I have to figure. I don't know. Would I have been happier if we spent 50 million on Basuma instead of 25? Obviously not. I'm happy with the Basuma deal, Perisic deal, Longley. I'm even happy with that deal. I think in terms of profile, I think he was a target that we wanted. I think he's a player that Conte wanted. I think he was on the list. So I'm happy with that deal. We obviously spent big money on Richarlison. So I'm not really bothered by figures, but if we're using money as an excuse, then I'm unhappy with it, because we haven't spent as much as West Ham or even this season. Forest. So why would money be a stumbling block when it comes to signing like a Malinovsky or even a Adama Traore or another attacker that clearly we want and we need going into the new season? So that's the only reason I'm unhappy. Even if we signed, say we got Adama on loan, right? On loan with an option to buy or something like that, and the figure's still the same, I don't really care. We've got that guy. We wanted someone and we got him. Yeah. But if we're using money as an excuse that we can't afford another attacker, that makes me unhappy. I
think with the situation the club is right now, new stadium revenue coming through, all these big events happening at the stadium, Lady Gaga, Guns N' Roses, Anthony Joshua, whatever, all you want. A lot of money being made on that stadium right now. The investment ENIC made, and you're talking about Champions League revenue coming back now as well. and they're telling us that we don't have any money to spend on clear holes in the squad.
Yeah, that's the disappointing
That
thing.
is, it's ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah.
When you're coming to a stage like that, when we've got clear holes in the squad, we're having to rely on Brian Hill now, Lucas Moura, who's somewhat past it, and Japhet Tanganga as well, who's got injury problems, and he had a bad season last year.
So before we, get into the state of the squad, we'll go into that in a bit. But is it a fair question? Do we say, although they, spent money when it came earlier in the season, if they are using money again as an excuse not to spend right now for the last 6 weeks, is it ENIC and Levy up their old tricks again, and are they ever going to change, or is it we've had a good window and we have to give them credit? What kind of narrative is it? Is it credit for spending all that good credit for spending all that money early, or is it same old tired excuses for not spending money when we need it?
We've spent amount in net spend. We've pretty much spent around similar to the Ndombele window, something like that.
Yeah.
So we've had not many times, but that 1 year was like brand new for ENIC, spending a lot of money in one window. We thought we were going to take it up a level from that, but we didn't. Everything coming out of the club was saying, this window is going to be something Spurs have never seen before.
Yeah,
it's going to be
Galley
crazy.
Gold,
Everyone was coming out being like, this is going to go. We're going to go in the proper way of Antonio Conte. We're going to back him to the fullest extent.
What was a quote from Ali Gold? Paratici is working as hard as possible to give Conte a squad that we've never seen before, or something like that.
Exactly. Is this a squad we've never seen before? I don't think so. I think that the squad is better than last season.
I think it's improved.
You've got to give it credit for that. But in terms of how high they raised our expectations to what they've actually delivered, it's Levy up to his old tricks, in my opinion.
I would say, it's underwhelming. It is underwhelming. I don't think, by no means is this window being a disaster. And I think if anyone says this window's been a disaster, I agree with that. I completely disagree with that. But when they're heightening our expectations as much as they are, then they got to take the criticism if they're going to say that we actually have no money left when we haven't even spent as much as they've invested. We have improved centre mid, we have improved the left back, we've improved the depth up front, but when we're fighting so much for on all accounts, Conte wants to be fighting on Champions League and Premier League fronts. That's what he wants. Have we got a squad to cope with all that? And especially if we get injuries and stuff, I think the jury's definitely out on that right now. The jury's definitely out. You never know. Maybe players are going to improve. Look, we've seen how much players have improved under Antonio Conte already in a short space of time. So we might be sitting here in 6 months' time saying, oh, you know what? Tanganga's actually really good. Longley, he's actually, he's really good now. He's a consistent player. Maybe Emerson's up to his game. Maybe Spencer's getting involved in the team and actually he's really good now. And maybe Gil's proving people wrong. But as of now, from the evidence we have up until this point, you have to say, is this squad strong enough to compete on all fronts? Probably not. Is it strong enough to be in a good position to compete for a top 4 place? Probably yes, I would say. I think we can compete for a top 4 place.
I can even think we can compete for a top 3 place.
Yeah, I think we can. Can we close the gap on City and Liverpool? Maybe we can close it, but we can not close it completely. Sorry, can we?
We can get close to what we were last season.
Can we improve on our points tally of last season?
Of course we can.
Yeah, 100%. I think with this squad now. Can we catch City and Liverpool? Highly unlikely. I'll probably say no on that. Can we compete for the Champions League? Probably not. But can we maybe still compete for a top 3 and a cup? Yes. And I would say probably yes. And that is what everyone wanted at the beginning of the season. No one really expected a title challenge. So when people are getting upset, are our expectations too high in that sense?
But what are people's expectations?
Well, at the beginning of the season, everyone said top 3 in the trophy, right?
Exactly, and I think this squad can actually do that.
So is Levy up to his old tricks then?
He's up to his old tricks in terms of how how high the expectations were on how many players we're going to bring in, the positions that we were going to bring in, what type of player we were going to bring in, also the money that they were talking about as well, and what Ali Gold was saying, and not pulling through on it 100%. It was like 60%, 70%, something like that.
Or is it a case of, yes, we wanted top 3 in a trophy, of course, but did we have an opportunity to even do more than that? And we did
have an opportunity to do more than that, and I think they've done the bare minimum to just get us top 3 area and a trophy, and that's us at our peak. You know, at our very peak, we'll finish top 3 and get a trophy.
That's if everything goes right.
Exactly,
basically.
that's if everything goes amazingly.
Yeah, and we have little injuries. We have a very good season. Then top 3 in a trophy is potential.
So in that sense, have we actually done enough? Because we have to perform at our actual best and get no injuries and stuff like that to get that.
Yeah, but maybe everyone can say that.
You can say I think when you're comparing us to our rivals, I think in terms of state of squads, I think we're in a better state than Arsenal. I believe that firmly. Chelsea, I think it's a different situation with Chelsea, because I think Chelsea got a better squad than us, but I just think we're more settled than them, and we're just in a better state than them.
Speaking of Chelsea, just saying Romano's given the here we go for Zakaria. So
yeah, look, I think that they've got an amazing squad there, Chelsea, but there's just something not right there. It's just something not right there, and I think just we're more settled and stable than them. When you're looking at Liverpool and City, obviously they're miles ahead of us. And when you're looking at Manchester United, I think we're way ahead of them in development as well. So I think that in terms of states of squad and cohesion and everything in that sense, I think we're third best. I really believe that.
Yeah, I think so as well. But it's just a shame that we could have solidified that position, couldn't we? And I don't know whether it was a conscious decision or it wasn't possible, but we didn't capitalize on that position of strength we got ourselves in. And that is a source of frustration. And I guess as well, I think it's coupled with the fact we're not playing that well at the moment. It's probably coupled with the fact that Arsenal are top of the league. Is there some recency bias? If we had signed Richarlison on deadline day instead of 2 months ago, would everyone be hyped right now instead of being a bit annoyed? Maybe.
No, I don't think so, because we needed 2 in that position. And now, when you're looking at the backup options for our front 3, Lucas Moura on the right, Bryan Hill on the left. Bryan Hill is a player that Conte didn't think was ready for the Premier League, and that he tried to get rid of, albeit on loan. Lucas Moura has declined. We're not talking about the same Lucas Moura as we had a few years ago anymore. So you're talking about 2 players that we don't know that can contribute or not. That's the facts of the matter in our front 3. Richarlison is the only one. Look, let's go and have a look at the state of the squad, actually. If you bring up that graphic, there you can see the front 3: Kane, Richarlison, Son, Hill, Moura, Kulusevski. I mean, absolutely brilliant. Kulusevski, Son, Kane, one of the best front 3s in the league. But when you look into the depth there, Richarlison aside, it's not that great.
Not great at all.
It's not great at all.
The only thing you could say is occasionally Perisic maybe can play in one of those roles as well. If you were to put Perisic in one of the depth roles, it actually doesn't look as bad, but I don't expect him to ever play there that much. So Hill, I'm hoping with Bryan Hill that instead of wallowing in the fact that he didn't get his loan move, hopefully he comes with a sense that he wants to prove Conte wrong, and he wants to prove everyone wrong that he can play at this level. And maybe as well, in a weird way, Champions League football might suit him a bit more than Premier League football. Maybe having that kind of game.
You know, these players are going to have to be used a lot. Hill and Moura.
Yeah, you'd have to say so. I mean, Hill, I don't see, even in Champions League games, I'm going to be very surprised if Hill's starting a lot of games. But at least, you know, if you look at the bench, if we're having that front 3, look at the bench, you've got Hill, Richarlison and Moura. It's not the best options, but at least there are options.
At least there are options.
Basically, what I'm saying is I'm happy.
Is that what we're coming to now? Like, at least there are options.
Well, mate, it hasn't always been the case.
I know.
It hasn't always been the case. So at least I'm happier that we kept Hill rather than... I think what I'm saying is in seasons gone by, we would have loaned Hill and not got a replacement.
But we've been in situations under Pochettino and stuff when we had a great attack And then when we looked at the bench, we had Nkudus and Njis.
Yeah, but now we have
and,
Richarlison.
and all these kind of players. And yeah, but we don't just have Richarlison. We've got Hill and Mora as well. And those two players needed to be upgraded on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree with that. But that's reality. And maybe they can prove people wrong. Beginning of last season, Mora was playing well.
What did Conte say? He said you need 2 players in every position. When you rotate them, you don't lose the quality. Can we say hand on heart we got a squad like that?
No, not in every position. No,
we've got that with Richarlison. We've got that in midfield, and that's about it.
And maybe with Longley with one of the positions.
Yeah, we don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. Yeah, I mean, you could argue we have it on right wing back, but that's because the starting ones aren't that great. So, I mean, yeah, I think definitely in the forward line, there's a big drop in quality. When it comes to Perisic and Sessegnon, obviously Perisic is so good, but Sessegnon's still pretty good cover, I would say.
I'm happy with the left wing back.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Obviously, midfield's fine.
I promise you, there's 4 positions, 5 positions. Well, let's say 4 positions on that map that I'm completely fine with, and that's the 2 central midfielders, left wing back, and striker. Apart from that, nothing is that great. I mean, and Romero and Sanchez I'll take as well. I'll put on that list as well.
Right. Davis and Longley's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but I still think we need to be up. When you're talking about Gvardiol and Bastoni and you end up with Davis and Longley.
You know, Gvardiol just signed a new contract. They rejected 90 million. Clearly he wasn't available.
Yeah, I know that, but that's the kind of caliber we were talking about.
Yeah, but maybe Longley could surprise some people. I don't know. Well, I think Conte wanted Longley. So I think he was a Conte signing, so I'm not going to be upset by that. I'm going to hope he's...
All right, fine. Look, for argument's sake, because that's that's one of the least of my worries, that...
Yeah.
I'll put that in there as well.
So, yeah, Dyer's position, right wing back, and then the 2 forward positions. So 4 of them. Yeah, and I have to agree. I think the depth in those positions right now seems to be lacking. And that's the case. And then from that point of view, that's disappointing. But how, we signed 6 players. Did we want 10 signings this window? Was it ever going to be feasible? I don't know.
I think we could have signed 2 more.
2 more.
I think we could have signed 2 more, and I think if we would have
1 more, that's for sure.
If we would have signed an attacker and another centre back, I'll be going into the season. Look, I'm still quite positive. It doesn't really seem like it because it's just frustrating with the window today. I think if we would have signed another attacker and another centre back, I would have gone into the season very happy with the transfer business and with the state of the squad. Yes, there still would have been a few holes there, but you can't do everything in one window. That's the honest truth about it. You can't do everything in one window, but we could have got those 2 players in. We just could have.
Yeah.
There's no reason why not.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially an attacker. I definitely believe we could have got an attacker in this window. And it's disappointing that we're going to be relying on Hill and Mora again, but we have to. I guess this is our lot for the season. I guess, and we have all until January anyway. And I wouldn't be surprised if in January, if there are still real glaring holes that it's obvious to everyone, which they do seem to be right now. And if they're really apparent come January, maybe we'll do what we did last January with Kulusevski and Bentancur, and we'll dip into the market again.
Well, yeah.
You'd have to hope so.
I think we might have to.
Yeah, you'd have to hope so. Is that enough to get us to January?
And you're not talking about a normal season this year. You're talking about a season that everything is bunched so closely together. It's inevitable you're going to get injuries. It's inevitable things are going to happen throughout the window. And once a team goes to the World Cup as well, you don't know what's going to happen there. Players could get injured. Anything can happen.
Then January
then January comes. So I think it's inevitable that we're going to have to dip into the market in January.
Yeah. So I agree. Well, if you're looking at that, so if you're looking at the squad, obviously you got those holes, but is that enough to get us to January? Is that enough to get us to make? Look, is it first of all? Is it enough to get us to out of the group stage in the Champions League?
No, I think it is.
And then keep us in the hunt for a top 3 finish.
I think it is. I think it is.
So from that sense, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I think it is enough. It's enough for top 3 finish. And it's enough.
If you're just looking till January.
Yeah, I think it's enough to keep us in the hunt.
And then we can assess it again in January.
But having said that, we don't know how this squad is going to react to these 2 games a week. We don't know. With such big games as well every week. It's not like it's Carabao Cup midweek and stuff like that. We're talking about Champions League football here.
Yeah.
We're going to be. It's going to be so taxing on the squad physically.
So
we don't know how they're going to respond to that.
And I'm still a bit worried about putting pressure on Son and Kane, because we all thought signing Richarlison, the pressure would come off, but because we didn't get another one, there is still going to be a lot of pressure on both of them now, I would say, and the ability to rotate them is still pretty limited. Pretty much every game, at least one of them has to be on the pitch, really. Like realistically, we can't rest both of them ever.
Yeah.
Like imagine a front three of Richarlison, Hill, and Mora. I mean, that doesn't frighten anyone, I don't think.
Yeah.
So that's a bit disappointing, and hopefully they'll be all right to kind of cope with the schedule. But hopefully Richarlison can take a bit of the burden off, because at least last season we couldn't even rest one of them. So at least maybe we'll be able to rest one of them sometimes.
But there's more games now, and they're more bunched together as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be difficult. But I think the squad's... I think on paper, the squad has enough to cope with until January. That's my assessment. I think we're strong. I think we're strong enough until January to get out of the group stage and keep us in the hunt for a top 3 finish. But that can all change very quickly. That's the worrying thing. So hopefully luck's on our side. But I don't think that squad is terrible. I think we've improved it. I don't think we've had a bad window. But it's just annoying that, again, with Tottenham, it's like that extra step. Always that extra step. They don't want to take it. They always settle for... That's what we always say, right? If we've said this for years about Levy and ENIC. They don't want to be the favourite. They don't want to make the steps to make themselves become the favourite. They want to be the underdog that surprises people. And just with 1 or 2 signings, we become that outright favourite. And right now, not for the league, but like for what we want. But right now, it's still like we're hoping for things to go our way. Otherwise, we're not necessarily going to achieve what we want.
Everyone was talking when we were making all these signings, all the media, can Spurs make a challenge for the title with all these signings, assuming that we were going to make more signings, assuming that we weren't going to stop and rest on our laurels. That's exactly what we did, and it's just so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating. Having thought about it all, having seen that, having seen the ins and the outs, do you have any revisions on maybe rating the window out of 10?
Since when? What? Well, since
well,
I
yesterday you said
it.
7.
Yeah.
You stick with that?
Yeah, I'm still sticking with it. I am. Yeah, I'm still sticking with a 7 because I think 3 positions have been improved, like quite well. Potentially 4 with a centre back as well. And we've improved the depth in the squad. The depth is much better than it was last season, although it's still not to my liking. It's better. So the work, so I'm happier. I'm more happy with the work we have done than I am upset with the work we haven't done. That's my position right now.
So 7 you're going for?
So I'm still sticking with a 7 out of 10. I think it's it's disappointing that we didn't push on from a position of strength, which we were in. For sure, we were in a big position of strength, and we didn't kick on from it. So from that point of view, we should have been in a better position than we are now. That's what I'm frustrated about. But I think for the business we have done, I think it is good business. I think it's going to stand us in good stead. And I think we still haven't seen the fruits of that labour yet. We still haven't seen what all these signings can bring to us just yet. So I think 7 out of 10.
A week ago I said 8. Yesterday I said 7. I think today...
Dropping every day, huh?
Yeah, I think today, now the dust is settled, it looks as though the window's pretty much over for us. I think I'm going to go for a 6.5. The more and more I think about it, the more and more holes I see in the squad, and it just frustrates me with everything going into this window. If we would have signed another striker or another attacker, I would put it up to 7. And if we would have signed a centre-back on top of that, I would have put it like 8, 8.5, something like that. So I'm going to go 6.5 for me.
Fair enough.
But I want to know your guys' rating out of 10 of the window in the comment section below. And also with that rating, by the way, you've got to take into account the outgoings as well, which you got to say,
Yeah.
was a bit of a shit show this year because we got them out, but they're only loans and they're all going to be back next
Yeah,
year.
but if there's no buyer, what can you do? What can you do?
It is. Yeah, I know.
Cancel their contracts? What can you do?
Well,
Is that better than a loan?
just because it's out of our hands, it doesn't mean it doesn't affect the rating.
Yeah, but I'm sure we wanted a fee. I'm sure we would have taken any fee. It's just about getting people to buy them.
I get that, and I completely accept what you're saying. But just because it's out of our hands and we couldn't get the fee, it doesn't mean it shouldn't affect the rating because that's actually what happened. So you've still got to rate it.
Right. So we still got them out. At least they're out.
But they'll be back. We're back into square one next summer.
Well, maybe. We don't know that. We don't know that.
More likely than not, though. With
Not
most
for
of them.
everyone. Yeah, maybe a few of them. Yeah, I reckon a few of them will be back. I don't. Not necessarily all of them. Reguilon might be fantastic at Atletico, and they might want to buy
Yeah,
him.
he's already said he's not going to celebrate a goal against Real Madrid.
Yeah, that wasn't a great start.
He is definitely going to be back next year.
It's not a great start. He's probably going to be back tomorrow. But you never know. You never know. Look, we've got some super chats.
Yeah, we'll get through them in a second. I just want to tell people about this poll. It says, are you happy with the window? 46% are saying yes, 54% saying no. It's a very split decision there. Very split.
How many votes we got?
We got 1,424.
1,424. Fair enough.
So very interesting there. But keep voting, guys. We'll keep this poll running till the end of the stream. We've got Ennio Rodriguez with the super chat saying, last season, through the bad runs, how many times did we say top four was impossible and out the window?
And out the window.
Oh, and out the window.
Was out the window.
But we did it. I've got transfer window in my mind. I can't stop.
Yeah.
We'll get better. It's too early. I believe we'll get better. I do believe we'll get better. But the problem is this season, it's completely different to any other season where everything's just so bunched together. It's going to be so intense and so taxing physically on the bodies that we needed an extra big squad for this year.
Yeah, it's true. So hopefully the players that we do have are up to it. That's what we got to hope. And I believe they are. I believe. Look, we're not going to win every game. There are going to be games we lose, and it's not going to be the perfect season. But I think in the long run, I reckon we'll be okay until January anyway.
Another super chat from Brian Daigle. Big up, Brian. He says, I said during the window that I wouldn't say it, but the trigger fingers are back. And as always, Levy out.
Look, and I think that's fair enough because I understand that frustration. I think they have spent money and I think they spent it well, but I think the fact that they didn't go that extra mile is a consistent problem that this board and management have continually been guilty of. So if the fact that we're seeing it yet again in this window, even though we've had a good window. In my book, the fact that we're seeing the same things must be a source of frustration for people who've been calling that out, and even for me, for someone who's had a good window, it's even frustration for me. So, I like if people see what we're doing and are upset with the board, because I do think a lot of it is down to the board again, because I do think we've been hamstrung by a potential lack of resources later in the window, even though there should not be any reason for a lack of resources. That's to be on the board.
Yeah.
Not to say that, for me personally, I'm still happy with the direction of the club. I'm still happy right now with the squad and with Conte and where we're headed. So I'm not necessarily going to start railing at the board after every match and stuff like that. But I understand frustrations right now. Enoch and Levy, 100% I understand it.
Yeah, I do as well. But also, I want to say that I say 6.5, but that's my personal opinion, right? But I think that if Conte is happy with this window, then I'm happy with this window. I think it all comes down to what Conte's views of this window, and if he thinks this is actually a squad that he can work with. If he thinks that in this current climate with this season that we're about to go in, can he do what he wants to do with this squad?
Yeah, I mean, but the problem is it's clear that he wanted another attacker. So.
Yeah. And another defender.
And so that's clear. But whether he feels like that's a deal breaker or not, that's another thing.
If he thought it was a deal breaker, he would be out the door by now.
So he did get an attacker, and he did.
And by the way, he's out shopping for shoes right now, as it stands.
Exactly. That's what we're doing.
Not shopping for strikers, not shopping for centre backs, shopping for shoes.
So look, I'm sure every manager wants more. Every manager wants a perfect window, but it's not always possible. So from that point of view, I'm sure Conte has appreciated the work we've done this window, and I think I think he's not going to spit his dummy out the pram because of the business we've done. But I'm sure he would have wanted more.
We did a video a couple months back. We gave ourselves 150 million to spend. And it wasn't sort of a prediction, but we had a bit of fun to see what we would do with the money realistically. And let's see how close we got or how far away we got. And let's start off with you, Sim.
Yeah, so I sold Doherty, I sold Reguilon, I sold Emerson, I sold Carter Vickers, Rodon, Tanganga, Winks, and Ndombele, Lo Celso. Bergwijn, I said 23, so that was an understatement. But I got big figures for all these players and nothing really came to fruition. In terms of the money spent, I spent 250 million compared to the 160 we actually did spend. Bastoni never happened. Spence did happen. Lewis Dunk, I said I'd go for as a centre back. I would take him now, not gonna lie. Baku, I said a right wing back. I would go for 35 million. We ended up only getting Spence because I said we would sell Doherty and Emerson. We didn't sell either of them. Perisic on a free. Obviously, we got Ericsson on a free. Less said about that, better. And I said I would go for Ward-Prowse, but obviously for 55 million, we obviously ended up getting Basuma for 25, which was a good deal. And then I said in the forward options, I said I would buy 2 forwards, Scamacca, who ended up going to West Ham, and Martin Terrier, who ended up staying at Rennes. I said I'd spend 30 million on him. So 250 million didn't really go according to plan. But, I mean, I wouldn't have minded. I guess we got Richarlison instead on the forward line, so that's probably better. But, I mean, if we had Dunk now, he would be a good backup for Dyer. I think he'd be good. Baku as well would be a good right wing back. So, shame we didn't get some of them. Well,
let's see how close I got. I had 135 million coming in, and I had an outlay of 235 million, which is 100 million, obviously, a net spend. I had Doherty going out for 5 million, which didn't happen. Reguilon going out for 25 million, which didn't happen. He went on a loan. Emerson, 20 million. Obviously, he stayed. Vickers for 6 million, which was actually spot on, I think. Rodon for 10 million, which was just a loan. Tanganga loan, which he stayed. Who's that? Is Winks, 10 million I had, which was just a loan. Ndombele, 15 million, which was a loan. Lo Celso, 20 million, which was a loan. Devine had a loan who didn't even end up going out on loan. And then Clark, 4 million, which was fairly spot on. Bergwijn, 20 million, which was, 7 million short or something. And I had Sarr, Parrott, Scarlett and Hill all being loaned out when Sarr and Hill had been kept because we couldn't find players to replace them. Ins, I had Bastoni for 60 million, which obviously didn't happen. I had Koulibaly for 25 million. How much did he go for in the end, Koulibaly?
A bit more than that, I think about 30 million, wasn't it? 35 million, something like that.
I remember when I said Koulibaly for 20 million, you were like gobsmacked that I thought he would go for that low. And he actually did, didn't he? Dumfries for 30 million, he didn't end up going anywhere. Spence for 20 million, which was actually spot on, pretty much. Forster and Perisic for free, both spot on. Ericsson, let's breeze past that one. Basuma for 25 million, which was actually spot on. And I had actually Jesus and Richarlison coming in
together. Wouldn't have minded that, to be fair.
Jesus for 40 million, which actually is what he went for, didn't he, to Arsenal?
About 45, yeah.
And Richarlison 35 was well off the mark, but at least I got Richarlison coming in.
Yeah, you got him right.
But actually, the predictions there in terms of the players that were coming in, I got quite a lot of them right.
Not bad. Richarlison and Basuma.
Perisic, Spence.
Perisic, I think, had already joined by that time.
And Spence.
Spence, yeah. So not bad. Not bad. Pretty good going.